It was one of those things where it's like, you kind of have to stop and evaluate. Have I lost sight of the whole reason why I wanted to homeschool and do this in the first place? What is it that we're actually doing this for? And am I staying on track with that? Or have I departed from it for something that seems right at the time? And I don't want to make decisions based off of whether I feel like they're going to be the smartest person in the room. Like, maybe that's not the path that God has for them. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Smith Party of Six. Today's video is going to be slightly different than usual. I'm not necessarily giving anything super practical that we're working on right now or anything like that. I do have a lot of kind of getting ready for the school year videos coming up, but today I kind of wanted to give everybody a heads up before all of that starts coming. So I'm not going to keep you in suspense or anything. I will just go ahead and flat out tell you right now what the change is going to be. We have been using Ambleside online for the last couple of years and we've really loved it. I love how rich all of their choices are for books. It has definitely been something that I've literally seen my children growing through. However, with this coming school year, I am officially going to have a first grader, a third grader, a fifth grader, and a sixth grader. And with that, when I was starting to look at the schedule for the coming year, which I always start to do at the end of the previous school year. So I've been looking at this for months now. When I actually started to look and see how doable it was going to be for this year, I was finding personally that it was going to become difficult once I added in that fourth that was actually like officially doing an Ambleside schedule. So last year, our youngest, Aspen, he was in kindergarten still. And so it was like I was coming up with all of the stuff that we were doing. It was still very simple stuff, although he learned to read and all of that this past year. It didn't feel like it was personally taking up a big chunk of time or anything like that. Whereas this year, it would start taking up more time. We've done year one before. It's not a cumbersome year. Like if you have 2-3 kids, don't think that I'm telling you that Ambleside is too difficult to do, because it's totally not. I made little modifications as we went here and there, but it was still totally doable. I do find that it would be a bit difficult with adding in that fourth, even though it is such a simple year. I was really kind of trying to map everything out. You guys know how I do. I love like having a full plan, knowing exactly what we're doing. Like even with the schedules that they make for Ambleside, I go ahead and I make mine even more detailed. Like I want to know all the things and like, is this actually a doable plan for the year, or are we going to crash and burn? And unfortunately, it did feel like for our personal family and everything that we personally have going on, still wanting to have time for friends and to just enjoy life, it just felt that Ambleside was officially going to become too cumbersome for us personally. Now, I do know that a lot of people do AO for groups if they have a bigger family, 4+ kids. When I looked at it, it just, since we had already done so many years of them doing things individually, it felt like that wasn't really going to work out super well for us, at least not in a way that made sense to my brain. My year one would need me for everything. My year 3 would still need me for most things. There would be like a few things that she would be doing on her own, but she would still need me for most of it. My 5th grader was still going to need me for a lot. And my 6th grader, even though he doesn't necessarily need me for everything, I also never want him to feel like he's just kind of being stuck out on a limb on his own because he's the oldest and he can get so much done on his own either. As I was kind of alluding to a bit in my intro, it's like I really want to take the time each year to kind of reevaluate and say, okay, why did I want to homeschool? Do all of those things still hold up? Okay, yes, they do. That's great. Now, does my plan for this coming year actually accomplish those things that I want to accomplish, or does it look different than the actual goal here? And even though I love that he can work a lot independently, having him do almost all of his schoolwork on his own isn't necessarily the goal that I had envisioned for homeschool either. When we first started homeschooling, so much of it was about family and about togetherness. So not only am I a stay-at-home mom, but then of course we have all the kids home together, and my husband works from home. And he works from home for himself as well. Like he's his own boss. Our lives are super flexible. We are completely detached from any sort of system. We really are getting to decide the pattern of our lives, and it was about togetherness, about being able to spend time with one another, pouring into one another, dedicating ourselves as parents to our children. And then it's like, sorry, Elijah, I'm really busy with all of these other kids over here, so you got this, right? Like that didn't feel like it was going to be the way that I wanted it to be anymore. This is not in any way, shape, or form knocking anybody who uses Ambleside, anybody who has their kids do lots of independent work. There's a lot of value in them being able to do a lot of their schoolwork independently. And there will still be plenty of things that they do independently. But it was like, because I have these three that still need a lot from me, you're basically on your own other than math. And I didn't want to do that. And also, if at any point during this video it feels like I'm getting rambly, I'm so sorry. I'm just talking through all of this and kind of wanting to share my heart and my thoughts and everything like that with you. So I tried to kind of look at it from several different angles, and honestly, just with the individual workload, like for each student with Ambleside, it just wasn't gonna fly anymore. It was gonna be too fractured. And for the last couple of years, that has been something that's been like slightly sad, that we do less things together as a family. Obviously, you saw that like we still do Bible and stuff together as a family. That's one thing that like I never followed the Ambleside schedule for. And we would still go on like nature hikes and do nature studies, stuff like that as a family, our folk songs and our hymns. So we still had certain subjects that we did all together. But this coming year, we'll be doing more things either as a family or even in groups of two, like older two and younger two grouped off together for certain things. And so I'm really, really looking forward to it. I have been working so hard on our schedule for this coming year. Pretty much, like I said, before even the last school year ends, I'm already looking toward the next year and starting to figure it out. And so I've been sort of piecing things together and figuring out what we're going to be using. I will go ahead and give you guys a spoiler that Simply Charlotte Mason is definitely going to be something that we are using for the majority of our subjects this coming year, and really because it fit the vision. Like when I looked at it, I was like, you know what? I've really, really missed us doing so much stuff together as a family. And so we're just gonna go ahead and go for it. I am really, really excited about it. It feels, I don't know, it's like when you start homeschooling and like you have all these ideas and you're watching all the videos of the different homeschooling families, and it's like, oh my goodness, I want that. I want that to be what it feels like. Like it almost feels like I'm going back to that place of just like really simple, Simply Charlotte Mason, very family oriented. And that's what I was really looking for, which again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I am not knocking Ambleside. Please understand, this is not some like bashing video or something like that. I love Ambleside Online. And again, if I was homeschooling less than 4 children, then I would probably still be using it just because it is so rich, and I felt like they were just getting an absolutely beautiful education. I love Ambleside. And I know too, I'm so sorry if you are here specifically for the Ambleside content, because I've had many people commenting or messaging and saying, oh, it's so nice that you're doing Ambleside content. You know, there's hardly any of it out there, and we use Ambleside and we love it, so it's good to see this. Or I was really interested in Ambleside. I'm so glad that I found your channel. And now it's like, sorry, y'all. But, you know, at the end of the day, of course, all of us have to do what we feel like is best for our own individual families and for each of our kids and all of that stuff. And so it's just like, at this point, this is what's best for our family, and I'm really excited about it. With Ambleside, it was starting to feel very kind of separate, and our classroom being our dining room, really the world is our classroom. We all know this, but at the same time, we did the majority of our school stuff in our dining room, or if the kids were doing independent stuff, then they could take it to their bedroom and work on it and then bring it back to me. But it started to feel almost like college library where it's like, yeah, everybody's there and they're studying and they're working on stuff, but it's all like very separate from one another. And I kind of wanted just like that coming together element again. And so I'm so excited for this year. I'm excited to share everything that we're going to be doing with you guys and why. Oh, really quickly, I almost forgot. There was one other element that I wanted to talk about, which I'm going to tell on myself. Like, this is in no way, shape, or form about anybody else, but it's about me. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I feel like there is a temptation. Sorry, there's so much vehicle noises outside right now. But I feel like there's this temptation in the homeschool community to kind of tend toward this. Not everybody does. Not everybody goes after that. But for some of us, we definitely do. And so I just wanted to share. For the last couple of years, I've sort of taken on more of like this underlying desire for academic achievement, I guess, which was always part of one of the reasons why I wanted to homeschool. You know, I wanted the kids to be able to do things at their own pace, whether that would be going ahead quicker or needing to have more time in something before going ahead to have it like really solidly. I want them to know things very thoroughly, but it started to kind of take on a different mask than that and to be almost more like, I want my kids to know a lot of things. I want my kids to have the best vocabulary. I want them to all be little math whizzes. I want them to speak Latin, even though it's considered a dead language, because it felt more, I'm just going to really tell on myself, but almost like an elitist type attitude without that being like the perfect word. It was snobby, honestly. I don't know if it came from like looking at the public school system, looking at the public school education that I received, and even being like a gifted child, feeling like maybe my education could have been better, and seeing the current state of public education. And this is not a knock on teachers. There's a lot of really great teachers out there. I had some excellent teachers and some that were not so great. Definitely a mixed bag of both out there. But just the system in itself, to me, is broken, and it's more about mass production of a certain type of education than about like a true deep educational experience. And so I wanted more for my kids, which can be a positive thing unless it kind of gets that twist of, you'll be smarter than those public school kids anyways. And I don't want to make decisions based off of whether I feel like they're going to be the smartest person in the room. Like, maybe that's not the path that God has for them. And that's not me saying that my kids aren't smart, because they actually really are. But does that really matter? Or maybe the path that God will have them on, yeah, they'll use their brain, but it won't be the most important thing about them. So if I'm making all my choices based off of this curriculum is super, super excellent, and it is going to ensure my children's like utmost intelligence. Like, I mean, they were reading books that I definitely wouldn't have been able to read probably even later junior high years. They were really taking in a lot of stuff and being able to narrate it back. It's not like they weren't able to follow along with it. They were. And that sort of like kind of like puffs up your pride and makes you go, wow, my kids are really smart. They are going to be way smarter than all those public school kids. But that's so ugly. And I refuse to have that attitude. I've looked at the book selections, and we've been starting to get in books and stuff from Simply Charlotte Mason, and they're still super rich books. They're still great books. They look like really fun books, honestly. With some of the books, there is a little bit of crossover in between Ambleside and Simply Charlotte Mason. There's not a whole lot of that though. And if there is, then it might come in later years than what it is introduced in Ambleside. And so because of that, I think that maybe sometimes some people think that it's less rich. I can't speak to it fully, obviously, because we have not started using it yet. But more than anything, I just want all of the things that we learn to really connect with my kids. And all of these are Charlotte Mason style books, so I have a feeling that it's definitely going to do that. I want it to be simplified for me as the teacher of 4 different grade levels, which it is definitely going to be that. And I want to have more space to interject fun or to interject my own ideas or things that I think that they need, instead of feeling like, okay, I would really like to do this with them, but there's just so much that we have to get done to stay on this schedule that I want to keep, which really that was what was going to end up happening once I added in that fourth. We were already keeping things to like a very regular schedule to stay on track for what I wanted for the year, but with adding in that fourth, it was just going to feel like I was beholden to the schedule instead of the schedule being something that helped me. And I know that lots of people make modifications, that sort of thing. Like I said, we did do some of that when it came to Ambleside, but then of course you're always left with the struggle of, okay, how much modification is actually helpful versus how much just completely waters it all down? What should I keep? What should I toss out? Would it just be easier to switch to something different? And really for us, that's what it became. It just became simpler to go ahead and switch to a different path. Now I will say things like our math, that's obviously staying the same. We were already using Simply Charlotte Mason for math anyways. We absolutely adore it. We actually just got in book 5, and so I'm gonna do a flip through of that soon. Of course, we haven't used it yet, but I can at least show you what book 5 looks like and the practical geometry part 1 that goes with it. I'm really excited about it. It looks like it's going to be really great. And we're still going to do the same folk song and hymn rotation as everybody in Ambleside because I have loved it. And there's an actual like Ambleside mom named Hannah. I forget her last name, but she has her own YouTube channel, Folks and Hymns, which I will link down below if you're interested in it. And she does all of the folk songs and hymns as they come around in the schedule. And so my kids have really enjoyed listening to her stuff. We throw in some other stuff here and there too, like the Petersons, but it's nice to know that we can always find somebody who's singing that specific song and singing it well and simply in a way that is easy to sing along with. So we're still going to be doing that, and like the artist and composer study from Ambleside, we're sticking with all of that still, but it's kind of like the bigger stuff, like the history, their science, things like that. And I will talk to you guys more about what exactly that's going to look like as we are approaching our new school year here. But I will go ahead and cut off this video there for today. I am so sorry if you are somebody who was specifically here for the Ambleside content. There will still be lots of Charlotte Mason style content in general, but unfortunately not a whole lot of Ambleside stuff anymore. But I also want you guys to know that like it's never too late to pivot and make the decision to change things up for your family, your kids, your homeschool, your sanity. It's your life, and we all have to reevaluate as we go. But you all have a blessed day, and I will catch you next time. Bye. It would be a bit difficult for us, especially because my dog is barking. I do find that it would be a bit difficult for us. She's still barking. No. I do find that it would be very simple, very family orientated. Not orientated, oriented. Just like very simple, very family orientated. I said it again. You know what I mean? Okay, probably not, because I'm probably not making a whole lot of sense.